Welcome to COGconnected's Crystal Ball Extravaganza. This is a off-the-cuff yet thoroughly well-researched and extremely clever take on the future of the video games industry. This is me making spookily accurate predictions about where the games industry is going to go in the very near future. Now, I can't guarantee 100% accuracy, but I will say that I'm going to get extremely close to 100%. So, for my very first prediction for COGconnected's Crystal Ball Extravaganza, let's talk about the Nintendo Switch Pro. Takes very little prompting for me to do so. You who have followed the channel in any capacity know that I have a lot of strong words about the Nintendo Switch Pro and its possible existence or its non-existence based upon, well, let's call it a slight deficiency of evidence. Maybe you've seen some articles from Bloomberg or WWG or DualShockers or Kotaku or Polygon or Destructoid or us, me specifically, because nobody else seems to care about the thing, saying that, oh, the Nintendo Switch Pro is coming this year, or it was supposed to come last year, or it's supposed to revolutionize the portable console, home, handheld hybrid industry. Well, let me tell you something right now. It's not going to do that because the Switch already did that. Instead, what the Switch Pro is going to do is act like the Nintendo new 3DS. A little bit better controls, a little bit better resolution, maybe it runs a little better, maybe the load times aren't as egregious, but we're not reinventing the wheel here. We already have the wheel, we don't need the second wheel. No, instead what this thing is going to do is make tiny baby steps towards gaming in the 21st century. It's going to approach, but not quite get to 4K. It'll pass it in the street and say, hey, 4K, how you doing, how you been, haven't seen you in weeks, won't you see you for weeks more, but that's okay. I say this because there's rumors going around that a huge shipment of, and this is important, 720p screens are being snatched up by Nintendo. That means that, well, the resolution that we were getting previously is going to be the one that we get going forward, if that particular rumor is correct, and I don't think it is. I think what we're going to get is a very slightly better frame rate and resolution for the portable version, and well, let's call it a variable frame rate for the console, for the docked version, if you will. We'll make small progress towards something being more frame perfect. I mean, they can lock it to 60 pretty easy if it's an in-house Nintendo product, but otherwise it ain't happening. Now, I'm more than happy to be proven wrong. If my predictions about this thing's half-cocked launch into the stratosphere are correct, and then this thing will just be a slightly better version of the console we already have and have bought millions of. No, what they really have to do is blow us all out of the water and do something that not even I, with my crystal ball, can predict. They're gonna have to make a whole new console. None of this half-measure Series X, 1X nonsense that so many other publishers and manufacturers have attempted over the years. No, they are going to have to produce something completely new, completely different, completely unexpected. But you've come here for predictions. So in the spirit of that, I'm going to say right now, off the cuff, off the top of my head, off the dome, that Nintendo's next console, this next console is going to do what they hoped the last one would do. The next console is going to be the perfect portable, and that no dock is going to be required. Instead, what they're going to do is they're going to have a handheld console and a receiver. It's going to be like a dock. It's going to be pretty much exactly the same thing as a dock, except it's going to connect with really high-powered Bluetooth wireless, the sort of thing that we've all come to understand to be mostly reliable with a couple of tiny hiccups. What they're going to do is they're going to create a console that you can just beam to the television flawlessly, and they'll say, oh, you want to play a handheld, you want to play on the big screen, you can do that. And the receiver, instead of being some clunky thing that modders and third-party manufacturers have to shrink down to something more manageable, will be like a teeny tiny little USB port kind of thing you plug directly into the television, because basically every TV has USB ports now, so who even cares, right? What they're going to produce next is going to be a handheld portable console that can, with the press of a button, connect to the television. It can do so in the resolution that the television currently supports, with some upscaling and some other asterisks, making it the sort of like a zombified, resurrected, nasty version of 4K, for example, instead of the native 4K that people are constantly clamoring for, or they will be until, 8K comes in and blows all this right out of the water. But yeah, my prediction, once again reiterated for those of you who somehow were not paying attention in the last minute and a half, is a portable console that can connect directly via the Bluetooth beam to your television, making this dock business completely obsolete and making this a single, versatile, portable, transportable handheld, the likes of which the world has never seen. If anything, they have to move past the staggering limitations of the screens they've been ordering and using. 720. 720! That's the rumor. You can look it up right now. They're supposedly ordering 1 million 720p screens. What they need is something that doesn't rely on that tiny screen and its inherent limitations and battery life limitations in order to produce a clear, beautiful, bountiful, perfect representation of the medium. What they need is something that relies on the technology people already have in their homes. If they can pull that off, if they can make my prediction come true, then they'll have the next generation, aka the generation that's been here for 6 months, on lockdown. Also, if Nintendo does not announce a new console at this year's E3 in a little less than 2 months, everybody will be really mad, but they'll be okay because they're Nintendo and they're a gigantic company that can take enormous losses without any real consequences. You heard it here first? Probably. Maybe not. But you heard it here. On COG's Crystal Ball Extravaganza, or whatever we call this video series once I do a couple more of them. Keep it locked to COGconnected from here on for news, reviews, previews, features, lists, other things that are features.